Not me, I'm doing drugs.
That's why it's filming up.
This storm is coming and it goes down. All the clubs are being closed down. This storm is coming and it goes down. All the clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town.
Hello.
All right. Shit, let's get awkward.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I just go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name's Ethan.
I'm Price Keith, allegedly.
So, my name's Rachel.
Kia ora, I'm Nathan, or Clang on stage.
All right. Well, I'm Isaac, DJ name Sensei.
My DJ name is Ingest. I'm also one half of Incentive.
And my DJ name is Miss Celium.
Also go by the name Dub Skank, aka General Select, aka Big Skank Popper. Just decided I'm allowed to have as many names as I want.
I've been mixing since 2015.
Got into DJing by basically being pushed by the rest of the crew to do it because I was the only chick in the crew that wasn't DJing at that point.
Yeah, one of the ZZM boys, or nowadays I am. Say the new recruit, I've been here for a while, but fucking still the young fella around all these other old guys.
And I am one of the 5 co-founders of ZZM. First off, let me explain what ZZM is. ZZM is 5 DJs that basically got together and decided that they wanted to learn to mix.
Ethan hit me up because he wanted to learn how to mix and because he'd been listening to drum and bass for yonks and yonks and yonks. Well, that's why they started calling me Sensei. Yeah, they gave it to me. I was Gump before then.
Fuck, how did I start? Oh, so I've been DJing for a few years. I don't even remember sort of when it was, but around when sort of ZZM started to become more of a thing. I met the boys, Ethan and Price, online.
How it started, and I'm sure like I've heard a few different variations of the origin story, but as clearly and as accurately as I can remember it, well back in the day, Ethan was hanging out with like the Sly Chaos boys.
It was back in the day, I used to go to all the DMB gigs at Cassette 9, The Wall. I had mates that DJ'd. Loved drum and bass, absolutely loved drum and bass. The heavier, the harder, the better in my opinion. And I had plenty of opportunities then to learn how to DJ, but never really chose to because I was too much of a contrarian and that's what everybody in my friend circle was doing at the time.
You know, I didn't really like go do that shit with them, like they were going into Cassette 9 all the time. Ethan was friends with one of the guys in their crew who didn't mix, so he was sort of like their, you know, tag along dude, and he'd just come and hang out, hype them up and shit. But yeah, that was like always on the back burner, but I was more just like blazing up in garages and not doing a whole lot. I really, you know, had a bad experience in town. I thought, nah, this shit is not for me.
Just hanging out one day and Price goes, oh, you want to learn to mix? So he's on the jungle track, sort of same as what I was listening to. It's like, oh yeah, go on. So yeah, he taught me to mix, started going to their parties. Took me a while before I got on stage, and then it all sort of went downhill from there.
How that started was, you know, me and Price actually, we went to a festival. We realized we can do this. You know, this is something that we can actually do ourselves. And we know, you know, Ethan was a really good friend of ours for a very long time, and we proposed it to Ethan and we said, we need to start mixing, first of all, and then we need to start throwing our own doofs.
Isaac was around at my house pretty much every single day, learning to DJ. I bought a little Hercules DJ controller, a Hercules Starlight, tiny little things. Isaac came around and laughed at me, so I went out and bought a bigger set of decks. I very quickly outgrew those because they were only 2-channel, and being a DMB head, I was like, nah, I need that 3rd channel. Isaac was like, I'm just gonna leave my S4s here, which in turn, I gave my decks to Price. Price started to learn to DJ, as we were, all around the same time.
So it's not like we had that traditional going into town, seeing Paige Julia every weekend, hire purchasing 25k worth of like Pioneer gear and being like, come on, please, George FM, put us on. We decided, nah, like, you know, we like, if we want to do this, we have to just do it ourselves. Like, I'm not climbing that ladder.
God, the first one was a New Year's thing. So it's always been a team effort, but the drive to do a party and get a party done, Captain Price, 100%, yeah, all the way.
And we had the idea of getting a generator and getting our mates and, you know, just going to a campground and throwing a little proof of concept bush doof sort of thing. It was really well received with our mates and shit. That first one, there was like 10. Like, there was like us 3 that DJ'd and maybe 7 other people, if you're lucky.
Yeah, we threw this party. It was a bit of a success, you know. Like, I wasn't even anywhere near jungle. I was mixing like side dub, but if I'm being honest with you, just 90% of that was just Grouch. I love Grouch. Shout out to Grouch.
We didn't really have the speakers for it, but we did it, and it was really, really cool. So yeah, that was one of our first parties.
The idea of having a second JBL was like a really good idea, and I was like, fuck, I should save up and buy that. So I go to Isaac. I'm looking at buying a JBL party box, so we've got 2. And he's like, I was thinking about buying a second one, so we had 2. And we had another mate that was gonna, I was thinking the same thing as well. So there's 3 of us there, all gonna go spend $1,000 on a speaker each. We decided, fuck it, why instead of doing that, we just do some research, go and buy a proper PA system, and then go from there. Went and bought the Mackies, took them home, set them up. 1 18-inch sub, 2 the 15 inches tops, cranked it to like halfway. Now I live in the middle of nowhere. I've got no neighbors. My neighbor from down the road came up to complain that his house was vibrating from where we had set the speakers and everything up. Isaac looked at me and goes, oh, we're gonna have to get a second sub if we want to hear it lower. So we went out the next day and bought the second sub.
We wanted everything to be portable and be able to fit in our vehicle so that we can pack up, pack down, get in, get out quickly. Our third one was, we were like, let's go further afield. Let's go explore a little bit. We booked the very end campsite right up the top of the Kauronga Valley, like where you go for the walk to the pinnacles, and we learnt a few lessons by doing that as well.
From there, that just set a rocket under our asses. We knew we enjoyed doing it. Price and I both have a theatre background, so like putting a show together and getting that, plus the performing aspect, plus the technology aspect of the lights, the music, the sound, getting that all together really, really scratched every itch that I have possibly in all my hobbies. So from me, the bug was set. Really lucky to have, you know, 4 other people that do it with me now, that have the same drive and the same scratches that are being itched.
Oh yeah, like I was straight away like, all right guys, like when are you doing the next one? At least then I was my mates with the boys, but I wasn't in the organising. I'd just show up, so I was like, oh, turns out I kind of love like setting up and stuff, so I'd just show up and go, hey boys, you want a hand? Because at the end of the day, like, the more help that we get, the easier the party is to run, the easier it is to do the next one. So I was a big believer in that, and like, fuck you, let's party, let's go. Like every opportunity from there, I was like, yep, I'm there. Didn't want to wait. If I would have stayed an extra night the next night and we would have kept going. But
I mean, we started doing a round of stuff at Blondie's, which was a bar in Drury there. We'd done a couple kind of bush doof things out in the Hunua Ranges, but that was more or less our friend group, an extended friends sort of thing, starting off small. And then we went to Blondie's, and then we got our first experiences of playing to no one. You'd go in and set everything up like every Friday, and yeah, I mean we had a couple locals like our metronome. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name right now. It escapes me.
It was a grind, dude. It was a grind, but I mean, it was money. Like, we were getting like $600 every time we did it. So whether no one showed up, which happened a few times, there was one dude that always showed up, and we called him the metronome because he'd just be there like skanking out, like no matter what. And his hivers obviously had a long week, comes down to the pub for his weekly D&B, and that was cool. Like, if the metronome left your set, you knew you were fucking up. I think his name was Kieran or something. Yeah, so I think we did 8 mode, Up Dog, and then we did one called Primitive Vibrations.
It was just really throwing a lot of parties, really. So we threw at least, I would say, and everyone might say something different, I would say we threw at least 6 doofs at that location in Hunua. And we managed to get our name up, and we managed to gain the sort of fan base. So when Deep Creek Voyage happened, that was also really, really good marketing. But we also had enough fan base at that point that it became really big.
It's dark, hell is hot. dark, hell is hot. Ain't no sunshine in it. It's dark, hell is hot. It's dark, hell is hot. Ain't no sunshine in it. It's dark, and hell is hot. 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 Ain't no sunshine in it. It's on.
Fast forward to probably our best / worst bush doof ever. We're going for our first two-nighter, like actual two-nighter. Deep Green Voyage.
Deep Green. It was a good experience, but it didn't quite have the result we wanted, getting shut down.
Yeah, Deep Green Voyage happened sort of, I guess that was last year. I don't know, dude. Time is moving so fast and slow at the same time. That was, I felt like, where we really started to see like, oh, it's not just like hopes and dreams, like people will show up, you know? We packed out that campsite like 120, 100, I don't know, up to 150 people, you know?
And first night went off, it was on, but we were doing it in the Hunua Ranges, and if you know the Hunua Ranges, there's heaps of walking tracks. Some tourists got lost that night, so the cops came out to look for this tourist. Now when they were out there, the first night on the Friday, nothing was said. They didn't come and ask, they didn't ask questions, but they definitely notified the rangers that something was going on. The next day, now we'd booked it all out. We had permission with the previous ranger that had worked there for us to be able to do this. He had zero issues as long as we'd booked out the whole campsite. Like, he knew me and my friends in the crowd that we were hanging with and trusted us to, because we picked up everything. Like, we go in and we go out, and the only reason you can tell we've been there is push down leaves and push down grass, because we've been standing and dancing. There's no rubbish left, we take it all out with us. So he let us do multiple, you know. Deep Green Voyage was like our big one, and the rangers, he had gone down to work at a different council block, and there was a new ranger who didn't know us, had a big issue with the amount of people that were there and the toilet facilities. So the first night there was definitely over 150 people there, and there was definitely more coming the second night.
Deep Green Voyage was like one of our biggest doofs we've ever thrown, and we didn't even know it would get to that stage. You know, we didn't expect that, because when the tickets sold, it was half of that, or even less, quarter than that, and so we were unsure of like what that was going to look like. But we were confident that usually, because we left the ticket sales open throughout the party till the very end, that we knew that people would always buy last-minute tickets.
My perspective was very colourful and wavy. It was very warm. I hugged my friends a lot. Didn't get to play because we got shut down before then, but we'll let that slide. Nah, Deep Green Voyage was sick. We had a massive turnout. We had so many people involved, and just people that we'd been meeting through all the town gigs we've been doing beforehand, because that's what we were wanting to do, is meet new people, market it, and it did. It paid off too well.
Yeah, I guess on the Saturday they came down maybe around 4 p.m. I think it was, because I remember thinking, fuck, do we have enough daylight to like pack this down? This is like midwinter. Like, we had to walk around every group and tell them, guys, look, I'm so sorry, the doof's been shut down and we just have to comply. Whether or not they would search our individual tents, they probably would have come and told us to move on. So people here have been drinking and stuff. Like, we can't just tell them all to pack up and drive home. Like, we're going to create a danger on the roads. And that's like, you know, interesting how you have to start like considering the welfare of the people who are coming to your parties. I mean, you should, you know. But we decided just to refund everyone, even the people who had been there on the first night.
Yeah, first time we'd ever had sort of big problems like that. Big in the way of getting shut down. Luckily, you know, we'd talk to the rangers. Like, it's all cool. They're doing their job. We're just trying to party, and we ain't trying to like go. You know, we know we can't argue that much. So you just sort of bend the knee a little bit. Sorry, we'll get it sorted. But can we, if we get rid of our gear, can we still camp? Pack up, drag all the big gear out, and then just chill, and then we still had a good time.
You know, we tried to keep it open, but we were screwed, and we just had to completely shut down.
I'll take a bush doof crowd over a town crowd any day, for multiple reasons. People that come to bush doofs and that like are willingly driving an hour and a half out of civilization into the bush with a whole bunch of people they don't know are there for the right reasons. We, in all of our events that we've done, the malicious acting characters that have shown up have been dealt with and gotten rid of. That sounds really bad. They've been asked to leave and sent on their merry way promptly. We've been, touch wood, very lucky in that aspect.
Because again, when you go into the sort of doofs, everyone's much more relaxed. You know, you don't ever have that sort of animosity or that sort of situation where you're gonna have to be worried that there's gonna be a fight or there's gonna be a problem.
You go out there, you go on a party, like the doof crowd that I notice at least, like when you drive out there and you set up your tent, you're staying, you're out there with the other people there, you start partying, you're not going home till the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, like you're there, you're locked in, and you like to leave is difficult. So it's sort of like the easy way to put it, you got to behave, and I think that gives it a bit more of like a real community feel.
Like these kind of events, it's like, you know, oh shit, I forgot my bug spray, and then someone's like, all right, I'll go find someone with bug spray, you know, like we all kind of like get to experiment with how life could be different if we'd organized our society differently. Maybe that's why it feels like, you know, there's such a hostile reaction from the powers that be to this, because I don't know, like it sounds so contrived to be like, yeah man, the man doesn't want us to know that we can all love each other, dude. But like maybe there is some kind of like dangerous revolutionary thought in that. I don't know.
It's dark until it's hot. 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 Ain't no sunshine when it's on.
Nah, it's just cool meeting all the people that are all, you know, involved in the same stuff, and I call it the good cunt theory. It happens after high school. It always happens after high school. You got your ride or die homies, yeah. But then you start branching out and you grow as a human being, and you bump into other souls and you're like, hey, you know, catch your vibe. And then, you know, it might be a few years later and it's like, hey, you're interested in the same thing, and they'll introduce you to someone else who's interested in the same thing. And then before you know it, there's 20 plus of you and you can't remember everyone's names. I mean, that's my issue, but it's cool, man. It's cool. I suppose just music bringing people together. I've done that multiple times beforehand, so no surprise. Yeah.